By who and why was Philip B. Haney a whistleblower, somebody that blew the whistle on the Obama-Biden administration for putting Americans at risk, compromising the national security interests of the United States? Why was he found shot to death with a single shotgun wound to his chest last year on February 21st? I still do not know if he was actually killed the night before on February 20th or February 21st. But we're coming up on that year-long anniversary. And I have to ask myself, and I'd like all of you to ask yourself the question, and please share this out, because my goal today is to put pressure on the FBI and the Amador County Sheriff's Department, and I'm going to explain to you why. Because these law enforcement agencies need to be held accountable, because we're not getting, as someone who was going to marry Philip last year on April 4th, I'm getting absolutely zero information, and I'm going to share what's happened to me and my experience and read you what they've put out publicly. So the Amador County Sheriff's Department last July on the 22nd put out a press release, what they call a media release. And it basically says that they gave to the Federal Bureau of Investigation all of Philip's documents, phone records, numerous thumb drives, and a laptop, and more. There was more. And handed over Philip's RV that was there in Plymouth, California. And that was really his office. He had retired recently from the Department of Homeland Security, because the agency under Obama and Biden went after Philip. Because if you'll recall, Robert Mueller, who was the FBI director, supported Obama and Biden in not putting two words together, Islamic and terrorism. But the Department of Homeland Security that hired Philip as a charter member, he walked in on day one, he was hired because the Department of Homeland Security was created for what purpose? Well, if you recall, we had 9/11, and the Bush administration at the time said, we need to have a Department of Homeland Security that will be focused, completely and utterly focused on assessing the threats of people in the country, coming into the country, and outside the country that want to come in to the United States of America. So Philip, who had an advanced degree in an area related to agriculture, had been serving in the Middle East for the government. And he was working in Muslim Arab countries, and he saw firsthand what Sharia law looks like. You know, things that involved beheadings and beatings and horrific things that, you know, people that fail to live up to the Quran, the tenets in the Quran, the Muslim holy book, people that fail to fulfill the guidelines that are set forth for basic life in Muslim dominant countries. He knew what it was for those individuals to pay the price. And for Christians, he knew exceedingly well about the horrific persecution of Christians in some of these countries and of other religious minorities. So Philip knew the language, he knew the culture, he had lived there. 9/11 happened, DHS was created, now he's at DHS. And what happens? Well, for one thing, under the Bush administration, one of the things that was documented was the Bush administration. I want to read to you exactly what the report notes. Is the Bush administration stripped Philip and others, frontline officers, of their ability to define the threat, because even under the Bush administration, there was tremendous political correctness. So, and then when Obama came in, having been raised at an early age in a Muslim school, and as a Muslim, his father and grandfather were Muslims, and his stepfather was a Muslim. So there was an indoctrination there, and Obama did not want Islam used in any way or have it associated in any way to terrorism. But here was Philip Haney, an extremely intelligent man who went up through the ranks. He was originally a CBP officer, Customs and Border Patrol intelligence officer. He had interviewed terrorists coming into the country. He knew what to say. He knew what to ask. He did the analysis. And so there he is in the Department of Homeland Security, and all of a sudden he sees, literally as he was looking at his computer screen, and he's told me this, as you know, we were extremely close, so much in common. Both of us had top secret clearances. Both of us had studied Middle East, I academically, he just living there and absorbing the language and culture. Talked about these things extensively. And so he was there sitting at his computer, and all of a sudden he noticed that information that he had painstakingly researched and, of course, in doing his intel work, had put into his computer at DHS was being deleted because Robert Mueller destroyed hundreds of documents. And if he did destroy them, we have no idea where they are. And then Christopher Wray, I believe he was a deputy assistant attorney general. So Christopher Wray, who is now the director of the FBI, he was from 2003 to 2005 the assistant attorney general to the United States. And he and Comey, former FBI agent, threatened to resign when President Bush through the National Security Agency wanted to renew the terrorist surveillance program. So when Bush wanted to renew the terrorist surveillance program, Wray and Comey threatened to resign. Mueller wasn't interested in going after Islamic terrorists. I guess it was all too politically incorrect for him. And when Philip saw that information regarding these terrorists in our country was literally in front of him being deleted, he immediately began to save this information on thumb drives, which he had, which the Amador County Sheriff's Department gave to the FBI. And if you'll recall on my show earlier last year, the IG, the Inspector General for the Department of Justice, did a report showing that those individuals that Philip Haney had been investigating when they were brought to the FBI's attention, for arrest, the FBI people said they let it go. They literally let it go, and 70 Americans were killed. Boston Marathon bombing, Fort Hood attacks, the San Bernardino murders. There were basically about 6 terrorist attacks that occurred that Philip B. Haney, the Department of Homeland Intelligence expert on Islamic terrorism, his sole purpose in life, and he worked diligently, was establishing these patterns and these links to terrorists and their networks and their organizations inside and outside the United States, and was working on a book that was going to name names. And he was killed last year because the book was supposed to come out last year. Philip had said that he hoped the book would be completed, the manuscript would be completed, and he had hoped it would be published and released last spring, early summer. Well, when he was found killed, who knows where it is? The Amador County Sheriff's Office said they gave all of this, everything, to the FBI. who was just, as I said, it was indicated last year by the IG, the Inspector General, that they failed to do their duty. So we still have absolutely no information on who killed Philip or why he was killed, or there's nothing. And I want to share with you. So yesterday on the 17th, a text was sent out I didn't receive it, but it was forwarded to me. The person who identified himself to me on the telephone as the lead investigator from the Amador County Sheriff's Office, I won't release his name, but he said he's the lead investigator on it. He wrote this text. He says, quote, "My office has not determined the manner or cause." Now, it's a year later, people. And the lead investigator texted yesterday, "My office has not determined the manner or cause in Mr. Haney's death. Therefore, it's still an open investigation." And when I reached out to the FBI yesterday, I was hung up on. When I asked simply to know if I could get any information, actually, I asked for a phone call back from anyone that was investigating Philip Haney's death, that a year later, there's still no information. And after Philip Haney was found killed on the 21st, I was told by that same lead investigator from the Amador County Sheriff's Office that the FBI came down and flew out from the Washington, D.C. area and from Sacramento. People from both regions of the country came and did a thorough bagging and packing up and boxing up of everything, including, I understand, the gravel. I was told even the gravel on the ground next to Philip Haney's and around Philip Haney, and I don't know, maybe under Philip's vehicle, was cleaned up and packaged up and taken away. Now, last July, on July 2020, it reads in a media release, in a press release, the Amador County Sheriff's Department said that the FBI has performed a forensics examination of all the items that they collected, and that the Amador County Sheriff's Office expected to, quote, receive these reports within the next few weeks, end of quote. That was July. Within the next few weeks, well, that would have taken us into August. It's February 2021. I was talking to, I've reached out again to the Amador County Sheriff's Office. I understand that within that office, it was said that they're still waiting for a few remaining pieces of forensic analysis from the FBI office in Virginia. This should concern every one of you. No, you weren't maybe engaged to be married to this man, but this man is considered a national treasure. When you think about those 70 Americans whose lives could have been saved, we can point a finger at the FBI based on the IG report. And if Philip was here, and he was on, I believe it was nearly 30 of my podcast last year. In fact, the last podcast that Philip and I did was on February 12th. And then, of course, I saw him on Valentine's Day and evening and the next day. At any rate, it's just incredible to me that an American that worked night and day to try to track Islamic terrorists in the country so they would be unable to commit another terrorist attack like the San Bernardino War. What was it? Several social workers were just gunned down. Social workers that had thrown a party for this Muslim couple that had come out of Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, but were true jihadi terrorists. And they came back and just murdered everyone, Christian and Jew alike. I mean, these are the kinds of terrorist attacks our country has experienced. And it was Phyllis' job, along with other frontline intelligence specialists, to prevent this from happening. But the FBI got in the way. Politically correct people, the so-called woke people, like Obama and Biden, and the people within that administration, like Robert Mueller and James Comey and Christopher Wray, now the director of the FBI, got in the way and prevented good men and women from doing their job. And they tried, of course, to destroy Philip's career as a result. And now he's dead. Who killed him? Is the FBI afraid of the information that was going to come out in his book? Were they afraid that information was going to come out on his thumb drive? Are people within the Obama-Biden team that worked for the Obama-Biden administration afraid? Are people now working in the Biden administration concerned? Why is the FBI just going to box up this information and analysis and these reports and just put it on a shelf? Or is it going to just be another cover-up? When are we going to get the truth? It's a year later. If any of you that are listening to me know of an FBI agent in Virginia, which is where I'm told they're still dithering on their reports, please have them reach out to me. It's time that whomever or whatever number of people were involved in Philip's death, that this be brought to light. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening, and thank you for sharing. God bless you.